So, what do you think causes the most stress in teens?
Oh, goodness. In my experience, I deal a lot with primary things are conflict with parents, um, and it's usually about boundaries. Um, Romantic relationships cause a lot of stress. Um, Romantic and friendships. So, if especially if they're in conflict. So, a lot of conflict stuff. Like, I usually generally don't hear from students that things are going well in all of their relationships. Um, Sometimes if students have procrastinated or they're struggling in a class and they get behind and yeah, we'll all hear from them about schoolwork. And then a lot of times, like just time management, especially like we notice in juniors when kind of students start working and they're still trying to do everything they've always done. It's just figuring out how to manage their time. So,
Okay. How do you help students with their stress?
well, different things. So, um, well, mostly I just listen. So it's really helpful for students to just kind of be able to offload stuff with somebody that they know it's going to be safe with. Because even as much as everybody trusts their friends, there's always that chance that you're going to say something and it's going to get shared. So I'm a safe place for them to share things, to just kind of get a load off their chest or whatever. Um, a lot of times we'll do just deep breathing techniques, deep breathing. That's really helpful. Sometimes we'll listen to music or color or go for a short walk. Um, I've used guided meditation before. Um, but yeah, and then if we can identify that there's something that I can actually help with, I usually don't go in with the attitude that I'm going to help. Like I'm just going with the attitude I'm going to listen. And but sometimes if we identify something that we need to that can be done that would lessen their stress, then we do that. Sometimes we practice conversations with how we're going to handle conflict with friends or romantic people or um, parents or different things like that.
Okay. What could students do to help calm themselves down if they're in a stressful situation?
So deep breathing. I like to use square breathing because it's easy for me to remember. But it's you breathe in for 4 through your nose, you hold for 4, the count of 4, and then you breathe out through your mouth for the count of 4, and then you hold for 4. And then you just do that a few times. And just the deep breathing brings oxygen into your brain and just kind of like you're concentrating on your breathing, so gets your mind off of things. I think if a student is really upset, all of a sudden, like crying or feeling like they're going to get angry and lash out at somebody, definitely removing themselves from the situation. And then with some students, we go ahead and identify those safe spaces, like the counseling office is always a safe space, or the office, basically where we know as a school where you're at, but you can go and regroup. Um, so definitely the breathing music is really helpful. So I encourage students, if they're having a particularly stressful day, whatever classes they're allowed to use their headset in their music, then to definitely do that. Um, yeah, those would be like immediate things if you're feeling like intensely stressed out.
Okay. And last question, do you think school is a little too stressful for some students to handle?
Definitely, I think depending on where where students are at, like we have students that are dealing with a lot of things at home, so their cup overfloweth before they ever get here. So anything that's going to happen at school, and school is naturally, you know, all environments have inherent stress, right? So school is a naturally stressful environment. You have to get to certain places by a certain time. You have to concentrate. You're constantly trying to do your best work. You're navigating relationships and all this stuff. So high school can be a stressful place. So if you come to school and your stress your cup for your capacity for handling stress is already overflowing, then yeah, anything that happens at school is going to be too stressful. But if they were going to work, anything that would happen at work would be too stressful. Or if you were at home with your parents and there was any kind of conflict, that would be too stressful. So I think a lot of times what I do with students is to identify kind of what in their lives are stressing them, and then we work on what can we do to manage those things, and if they can't be managed, then what can we do to manage stress here at school, what things at school are causing stress and triggering, and then we try to address those things.
All right.